I cannot sing and I cannot dance, so I'll review these albums instead. I know, the Bee Gees. Hello and welcome to the MJ Rowe Music Show, and today I'll be reviewing an album I've been wanting to review for ages because somehow this album has not been the mega or indie success it should have been. Now, it's not been totally buried because it was nominated for the 2015 Mercury Prize, although admittedly it was when the ceremony was getting its lowest ever coverage at only 100,000 views, and 5 seconds of it did feature in the sitcom of Cold Feet, and in fact at one point I even heard it playing in the background of a health shop. Oh my god, they're playing it! Yes! Because I'm sure there'll be tons of people watching going, oh yeah, those 5 seconds of guitar strumming really stuck with me. Even more insulting is how they have a hit album each time when they release the Cold Feet soundtrack album, and they didn't even put him on. I mean, what the hell, ITV? I know you suck normally, but this is just insulting. Still, this album is dangerously underrated, and in my opinion, it's the greatest album of 2015, and the greatest album for me that remains unheard by the masses. I am, of course, talking about the debut album from Duncan-Architect. Christopher Duncan is a Scottish musician signed to independent label Fat Cat Records. This album was recorded almost entirely in his flat in Glasgow, which makes it even more amazing. The album is fantastically lush, layered and well produced considering these limitations. And in fact, the twanging of rulers on a desk is mixed into the percussion somewhere along the line. Beautiful. I cannot sing and I can. This illustrates how talented an artist Duncan is, being totally self-sufficient, able to make cordon bleu in a local cafe on the corner. The music itself is hard to define, being overall the style of folk-influenced indie created by the likes of Grizzly Bear and Fleet Foxes. However, a mass buffet of sounds and influence make it all the more harder to place. The jangly guitars on the track Bye and the album's echoey light vocals reflect the Cocteau Twins, one of Duncan's major influences, and in fact one of his earliest releases was a cover of their biggest hit single, Pearly Dewdrops Drops. There are also elements of 60s pop rock on the track Garden and downtempo on the opening track, Say. Duncan's classical training is evident in the almost choir-like sound to his vocals and the rich layering of the instrumentation, making for a pure eargasm. And this album is just totally magical, and whatever it may be, the passion put into it possibly, its sound which is hard to match to a genre or decade, it is totally otherworldly escapism, and it's like perfectly chilled in a way that can match the warm laid-back nature of summer, as on the track Say, or the calm of autumn, as on I'll Be Gone by Winter, which I have in fact added to my Christmas playlist. Some highlights include 4, a gentle strum-along featuring the highly underused vocal technique that is whistling, and He Believes in Miracles, a romantic ballad that sounds like it's from a lost Hollywood classic. And some may find this one a bit on the cheesy side, but to those who are open to it, it's just truly beautiful and enchanting throughout. The thing that annoys me though is that this album should have been a mega phenomenon. I mean, it's indie enough to appeal to the young XX loving crowd, and it's chilled enough to appeal to 40-plus parents and relatives. And it's unique in its sound, with most critic reviews giving it high acclaim. So, what happened? In my opinion, this was probably a lack of ability to promote itself. Being on an indie label, it would have been harder to get news of this album out and heard widely. Duncan has played on Radio 6 sessions, however, this somehow never made the crossover to Radio 2 or later with Jools Holland. So in future, fellow music lovers, I bid you to do the following. If you hear an album you love, share it with whoever you can. You may be introducing the world to a masterpiece that is waiting to be heard. Whoop whoop, my highest review album yet, and in Imperial Purple, it gets a solid 9 out of 10. As for best tracks, well, There isn't a single bad track on this album. However, for my personal favourite, I'd have to say, the aforementioned 4, He Believes in Miracles, and alongside Here to There, Bye, and As Sleeping Stones. As for similar stuff, I'd definitely direct you to the stuff I earlier mentioned and his evident influences, the Cocteau Twins, Grizzly Bear, and Fleet Foxes. Though if you want something that's also down-tempo and perfectly chilled, I'd highly recommend 07, with their debut album, Simple Things, being in my all-time favourite albums. It's perfectly chilled, perfect for those who love Röyksopp and Air, but with like that perfect, lush, layered instrumentation. If you haven't heard it, got it, or told anyone about it already, then you definitely need to. This, my favourite album of 2015, and one of my most favourite albums of all time. Give it a listen.